Record. Right. Last week we have started the kingdom Plantae. You know, we all feel sometimes the learning trees is not that we want to learn. As a result, the things retain in the brain, it's a little bit not same as other thing. We usually get initially less into the brain. So it takes time until you get some information, then again more information, then you can really remember information about the plant. I think for many of them, it is usual, not like other subject. This take bit of time that you can remember about the plants. One thing is uh, there are so much of similar names, and we feel we don't want to learn this plant. We want to learn about the animal body, medicine, biology, like these things, but not about the plant. But we have no option. We have to learn plants. Okay, it takes time, but there is a chapter unit coming 4. Again, we can recap, so we have enough time to digest these words and the contents of the plants. So basically, the two stages, gametophyte and the sporophyte, we have to keep in strongly their life cycle. They enter into the gametophyte stage and then the sporophyte stage. So it's a kind of changing to gametophyte to sporophyte, gametophyte, like that. And frequently we can see alternation of germination. This process, the gametophyte, like the sporophytes become gametophyte, then the gametophyte become again sporophytes. This is called alternation of germination in plants. And to link with the last kingdom, protist. So when it comes to the protist algae, they share similar characteristics as plants. So this is the interface. Protist change to a plant, protist to Plantae, and we noticed that the first type of plants are non-vascular. So they don't have conduction system like you have learned before, xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem transport tissues of the plant, but they don't have, and they don't have a seed as well, seedless, non-vascular. They slowly change to a seedless vascular, then change to the highest level of plant, seeds with vascular. So we keep in mind this transition from to 3 stages, and also it is better that you keep this map that help you to understand and maybe store information in the brain, because nobody knows at the moment how information change and this information store in our brain. People proposed it is like a rooms, like different rooms are created, and similar information is going to that rooms, so they store like that. And some scientists proposed if we frequently activate the similar circuits, then the memory is getting stronger. So that I think we can understand. So if we try to revise many times, then the same circuits of the brains activate, and then memory retention is quite good. So overall, we need a good memory retention, memory power at the end, to address some of the questions, because sometimes we never expect very small thing in resource book they take as questions. So very small thing, we don't pay too much attention. Maybe this is not important, well, just we skip this like that, but sometimes it might come as a question. So it's very hard to skip anything. So we have to really try our best to keep the memory, right? So then non-vascular, seedless, bryophyte, hepatophyte, and the serophytes. So under bryophyte, moss, pogonatum, macantia, and the seros. So this you try to revise many times. This will remember as a map. So when you have this map, then when you're learning the life cycles and everything, it's easy that you can store in your brain correctly the correct informations, right? Because they are targeted questions. These are three phylums come under vascular, and after that, sorry, non-vascular, seedless, and then seedless vascular, Lycophyta and Pterophyta. Two kingdoms comes, Selginella and Nephrolepis come under this category. Pterophyta, Selginella, Lycophyta, Nephrolepis. Okay, then higher plants seed with vascular. So again, we divide into a gymnosperm and angiosperm, flowering and non-flowering plants. So there are three phylums under the gymnosperm: Cycadophyta, Conifera, and Netophyta. And here only all plants come under Anthophyta. So this is the highest level of plants and predominant plants on planet. Maybe by size we can see them everywhere. This angiosperm, right? Okay, then we revise again basic reproduction of plants. So we try to again remember this as a guide map. So they have two stages: sporophyte and the gametophyte. To remember that, we try to use the tree as a sporophyte and the flower as a gametophyte. Then we have some idea, okay, the trees are sporophytes, the gametophytes are flowers, but just general guideline, right? So under that, sporophyte produces special structure called sporangia. Sporangia produce spores. Then the spores mostly living out of the sporophytes, and they become gametophytes. Spores can produce gametophytes. Then the gametophytes, again, they can live like female gametes and the male gametes. For example, ovum and sperm. So they again fuse to make a structure called zygote. Then zygote develop into sporophytes. So this is a general map that used to learn plant reproduction and life cycle. But this is changing here and there when we're discussing different plants. So gametophytes, the female gamete production structure is called archegonia, male antheridia. So to remember these words, it takes time. So many times when you try to revise this, then only you can remember well these names. Okay, so we continue today. Life cycle of Bryophyta, because if you look the resource book unit 4, you have to learn Bryophyta life cycle. So we try to increase the recap like here and there, then easy to remember, right? Now, when we start with Bryophyta, Bryophyta is an exceptional. It is an exceptional plant. So Pogonatum is the plant we're going to learn here. Why exceptional? We starting with gametophytes. We starting with gametophyte stage. So as I told you and showed many times, you look a big tree that is sporophyte. And you see the flowers, these flowers are gametophytes. That means tree is bigger and dominating, photosynthetic, but the gametophyte stage is very small. But now this is different. Gametophyte is dominant. So that's why this is exceptional. So we try to remember Bryophyta, Pogonatum is an exceptional situation. They are starting with their gametophyte stage. And we use another word, this word. So dioecious. So dioecious is the male and female gametophyte existing separately. Right? So there is a male gametophyte and then female gametophyte, and they exist separately. This is called dioecious. Male and female gametophyte stage are separated. And we don't call them roots at the moment, but it's no harm to call roots, but we use the word rhizoid for the roots. Stem and leaves we can see in the gametophyte stage. And they are photosynthetic and green color. Okay, that's what we, I think, learn at last. Now, gametophyte, we have learned gametangia and gametes. Gametophytes, gametangia, gametes. Gametangia, female one is archegonia, male one is antheridia. So we'll see it now. Here is the gametophyte, gametangia, and antheridia, and female one is archegonia. If we look archegonia, we can see ovum. We can see ovum inside this archegonia. Right? This is the ovum, the single cell inside the archegonia. And we look male part antheridia. Yes, I think that's we haven't done. Okay, but here male part is also mentioned here. There are many sperms with flagellum. So two flagella. These are the flagella. I think this is the last thing we discuss. Now we see what is the next stage. Okay. Now this the ovum that stays there, that doesn't go. Ovum is stay inside the archegonia. But you can now understand sperm has flagellum. That means sperm can move. Sperm has flagellum, sperm can move. So at one point, this antheridia open and they release sperm. That means sperm is going out, but ovum is not going out. The Bryophyta Pogonatum, ovum stay inside and the sperm is going out. Right, so I try to show it different picture, otherwise too complicated. Next stage. Here. Okay. This is the archegonia. And this is the ovum. So this stays attached to the gametophyte, right? So this, I just show it like this. So it is attached to the gametophytes. Now the sperm cell, they can swim, but in order to swim, this need external water. external water is required when there is moist outside. They use this moist to swim. External water. And there is another support from the archegonia. They have some kind of a chemical attraction. Chemical attraction. So some chemicals secrete. This chemical is attractive. The sperm can then swim towards the ovum. Because you will learn when you are learning the higher plants, sperm to reach the ovum, they get a passage, like a tube. Through the tube, it can go. But here, that is not existing. So there's a chemical attraction and the external water to swim. And now it can swim toward the ovum. After that, the fusion of the ovum and the sperm to make a diploid cell is called fertilization, right? So fertilization. So these are the basic words we have to learn everywhere in biology. The fusion of male and female gamete to produce a zygote. Zygote is diploid cell, a single cell diploid, right? This is called a fertilization. Now, fertilization takes place inside the archegonia when the archegonia is attached to the gametophytes. Okay, then how do you can see after that? So I try to show you again the gametophytes. So let's see, this is the gametophytes. And on the top of the gametophytes, so we can see the structure archegonia. So archegonia change. To make this kind of a structure now. So a little bit of change, right? So after fertilization, there is some change happen, and we can see on the top of gametophyte, this one is now existing. So this has a foot, and this is the it is called a seta and the operculum and capsule. Capsule, this is the one closed here is operculum. Okay. Now, interesting thing is this part, this one going to represent the sporophyte stage. And it is attached to the gametophyte. So gametophyte is dominant and sporophyte is depend on the gametophyte, right? Sporophyte is depend. Sporophyte is depend because what is depend mean? to get the nutrition, gametophyte can do the photosynthesis, and the nutrition it can take from the development of cells to the sporophyte, right? So gametophyte is the dominant still. Sporophyte is dependent. So it's not photosynthetic because it is attached to the gametophyte, so it can take the nutrition. Right. Now you see what is interesting in Bryophyta pogonatum. The dominant stage is the gametophyte. And what I showed here, and archegonia is this one, but it's changed now to a sporophyte because here they are developing cells. So let's take a full life cycle. This is the gametophyte stage we started, and this is the sporophytic stage. So remember, Bryophyta pogonatum is very special. We starting with gametophyte, and then we come into the sporophyte. Gametophyte is dominant, photosynthetic. Sporophyte stage is developed on gametophyte. So that's what I said one time. The flower is there on that plant, like that kind of picture we have when we look this kind of a life cycle to understand it. Okay, then after that, what is going to happen from here? The sporophyte stage, they start to produce cells by meiosis. So initially the cells are increasing by mitosis, and after that these specialized structure produce the spore. So they produce the spore by meiosis. Produce the spore by meiosis. The meiosis is then cells are again haploid. And they produce spores again. These spores develop into gametophytes. So again, it comes to the gametophyte stage by producing these spores by meiosis. These spores are called homospores because there are only one type. So they are only one type because one is going to produce male gametophytes, other one is produce female gametophyte. So male gametophyte and female gametophyte, as a result, we use the term homosperm. Okay, now if you want to step by step remember these life cycles of plants, it takes time, right? So first stage, you try to remember the basic. Okay, Pogonatum bryophyta, starting gametophyte, then sporophyte, then again gametophyte. Then again, slowly you try to learn, okay, they separated. That is called dioecious. And they produce Antheridia and Archegonia separately. They produce the gametes. Gametes fuse, and then they produce sporophyte on top of the gametophytes, and they produce dead spores. The spores again produce the gametophyte. Okay, so All right. So you see now this structure now. I think when you look at this bryophyta, you have some idea now. Okay, this is the sporophyte stage, and this is the gametophyte stage. Right. So here the capsule, the operculum, and the seta. So this stage is the sporophyte, and the leaves are rhizoid, and then stem is the gametophyte stage. Okay, this is again another picture. The gametophyte stage is this. Bryophyte or gametophyte stage, and then sporophyte is on top. Here is again life cycle. Quickly we recap. So this is a gametophyte stage that we can see the gametangia. Then this is antheridium. This is archegonia. Then sperm release with the two flagella, swim with the external water, and reach to the archegonia and fertilized these egg cells. So it developed into zygote. Then the zygote change to make the sporophyte stage, seta and capsule, and this represents the sporophyte stage. These still remain as a gametophyte. Then the spores produce, and then this operculum open up, and the spores are released. So again, spores can make a gametophyte, and then this proteinema is the initial stage of the gametophyte, developing stage of gametophyte. And they send rhizoid to the soil to attach and start to grow again. Okay. So we keep on going. My suggestion is you make your own drawings, and then these drawings keep with you as your short note. So always keep your short notes to a study, and after that, once you get done it, I think every single place of the resource book you can cover. So when your exam is closer, you can recall very quickly anything from the resource book range. I think that would be the final goal, to answer many of the questions, structured and essay questions. Somehow MCQ, we have a different strategy, practice and practice, and we can learn it. Okay. Right. Next, we are coming to the next level. So it is in the notes. Okay, we have done this life cycle. Okay, then we are coming vascular seedless plants, right? So vascular seedless plant. I think I can't write it here. Okay, I can share again this document. Right now, we are going to learn again vascular seedless plant. So vascular seedless plant, we need to understand a little bit how evolutionary it changed from non-vascular to vascular plants. Okay, to understand that, so we take a quick look how the vascular plant look like. General structure of the vascular plant. Now, vascular plant, when they have their stem, so if you look a cross section of the stem, that means the plant is like this, and they have well developed root system, and then leaves like this. So if we cut from the middle and then we try to see how it looks like, we can notice something like this. There is a collection of cells like this, and below it there is another collection of cells, and there is another collection of cells. Okay, so how do we identify them? If you look at first type of cells, they have quite thick walls, and the second type of cells, they have a little bit smaller, and third type, they are bigger. Right? So they have a thick walls, and this one is quite bigger, and they arrange like in columns like this. So we can also look on a microscope. When you look at like this, it appears like this. So what we're trying to learn from this kind of appearance, this is one kind of a cells, this is another kind of cells, and this is another kind of cells. And you will learn later on, there is another cells layer in between. Okay, but forget about that. So this appearance is, in plants, we call vascular bundle. This is called vascular bundles. So we can see vascular bundles around this diameter, something like this. So these are the vascular bundle. And from vascular bundle, this represent xylem, this represent phloem, and this represent fibrous cell. So we will go step by step because we haven't learned plant yet. We have to learn plant, but here just a little bit of understanding how they are changing to vascular plant, non-vascular to vascular, right? So then what we're going to learn in the future, unit 4, we take this one, xylem, and we try to understand what are the type of cells in the xylem, what are the type of cells in phloem, what are the type of cells in fibrous cells, and what are their functions. So we keep this for the next unit 4. Only we try to learn xylem transport water from roots to shoot. And sometimes we can also put water, but dissolve minerals. Water, minerals, basic components are water and minerals. But there are other things we have to learn in detail. Then we're going to learn what are the other things transported by xylem. But at the moment, xylem transport water. And again, phloem transport nutrition, that is sucrose, and we will also learn other molecules, some other molecules they can transport. But basically, we can conclude they transport nutrition from two direction, right? It can go up to down, down to up. But water is only roots to shoot one direction. And according to this development of vascular bundle, they also develop advanced root system and well-developed leaves. I think that part we anyway going to learn unit 4. It is not necessary to spend time too much learning these things, because if we divide and learn, it is easy to remember. Right? If we learn everything, this place, what are the xylem and phloem like things, that's too much, right? So we get basic idea and we try to learn how the life cycle of vascular seedless plant happening, right? Okay, so next thing we're going to learn little bit about the